Hello, you're watching the news from Kazakhstan. I'm Askar Sherelief with the latest updates, and these are the top stories. The head of the presidential affairs, Sarabay Kalmurzaev, returns to work despite rumors of poor health, while the former minister Jakselik Duskaliyev is arrested. Zhanaozen oilfield workers engaged in a warning strike demanding to revert to the dropped system of bonuses and welfare payments. Kaznet is ready to competition. The development of domestic internet space discussed at the conference in Almaty. The head of presidential affairs, Sarabay Kalmurzaev, appeared on public on Tuesday for the first time since the emergence of rumors concerning his stroke and a possible arrest. The official looked confident and determined as ever, and even said that he is not interested in the fate of the former health minister Jakselik Duskaliyev, whose arrest was extended on Tuesday by the Astana Sararka district court.
He is alive and well and still in the team of Nursultan Nazarbayev. The head of the presidential affairs, Sarabay Kalmurzaev, appeared absolutely healthy in public on Tuesday at the opening of a luxurious spa resort in Almaty. The official's look seemed to purposefully dispel any last week rumors of his stroke due to an active struggle for a place next to the head of state. Apparently not everyone likes that I'm in good health and still with the president. Perhaps this is because when we were in Chimkent and Taras there was no one else beside us. This enrages many people. The head of the presidential affairs shared the latest news with reporters in the relaxed atmosphere of a presentation. It seemed that the choice of the place to return to the public eye was not a coincidence. Kalmurzaev stresses his perfect shape as well as political power. At the end of the official's triumphant speech, Kalmurzaev noted that he sees no link between his absence in the country and the financial police investigation into the charges against the former health minister Jakselik Duskaliyev. In general, the head of presidential affairs is quite indifferent about the recent buzz. I don't care about it at all. Tuesday saw the end of the 10-day arrest warrant against the former health minister Duskaliyev, authorized by the Astana Sararka district court. On the same day, the news agency Kostak reported that the court's office received a request to extend the official's detention for another 2 months. Duskaliyev's former colleagues mostly refrain from discussing the case, although they do keep an eye on his health condition. Personally, I only follow the information in the press. Some of the ministers are always ready for their appearance in the financial police and see nothing unusual about the sudden activity of the agency. It is a normal process and we are ready for it. A number of similar inspections were already held this year. It is clear that the close nature of Kazakh high-ranking officials usually plays a cruel joke with them at the most inappropriate of times. Everyone knows that rumors spread best in the information vacuum. It is obvious that those left afloat are now trying to make conclusions and use their 15 minutes of fame, unmanned by the briefings of the financial police officers.
A well-known Kazakh senator, Gani Kasimov, talked to journalists on Tuesday discussing current events and burning issues, including arrests of high-ranking officials, clan wars, and the increased rate of reported strokes.
The always talkative and open to the press Gani Kasimov was puzzled on Tuesday with questions that are usually left with no comment answers. The senator didn't disappoint. As a true patriot, he was ready to talk about the numerous recent resignations, criminal cases and often contradicting statements of the authorities. Kasimov even tackled the question of whether senior officials are now too afraid to work on sensitive issues and are only concerned with who will have to answer to the law enforcement next. I do see the state of anxiety. It appeared because of the lack of information and all those disturbing and contradicting reports. Either some masterfully orchestrates all these developments, or we are told that we are not ready for the December events. The senator declined commenting on the popular issues discussed currently in the press, like the future of the health minister Duskaliyev and the mysterious stroke of the head of presidential affairs Sarabay Kalmurzaev. At the same time, Kasimov hinted that political game is involved here indeed. We're talking about a whole trend of our domestic know-how. Perhaps other opinions exist as well, but let's not talk about it now. Thank God everything is fine and at work. In this situation, I do not believe I should play along with some insinuations. The main patriot of the country was also asked about the clan wars at the top and which group he relates to. Kasimov responded philosophically, saying that he is with God Tengri, and added that his career and political ambitions directly depend on the decisions of the nation's leader, just like with all other candidates. If I will run against the president now, he will win 95 to 5%. But if he will not run, I will crush anyone with 95% of the votes. Reporters recall an episode back in 1999 when Kasimov, being a presidential candidate, crushed a glass and threw a vase at the show host during a live TV broadcast. Quite obviously, nothing as scandalous can happen in the current political situation, and even the senator himself admits that the dashing general of the past is almost completely gone. Kasimov now is a very different man.
The political situation in the neighboring Kyrgyzstan is heating up as well. After the narrow win in the recent parliamentary elections, political party Atatürk could still end up as a minority. The analyst of the Political Decisions Institute, Alexander Knyazev, believes the four remaining parties in the parliament will likely unite into a coalition that will become the real political force in the country.
The parties that failed to pass the 5% threshold of all votes also plan to unite into a national congress to express their disagreement with the elections' results. Political scientist Alexander Knyazev notes that there were fears that the elections will bring new conflicts between the southern and northern parts of the country. This, however, didn't transpire so far. The voter turnout in Kyrgyzstan reached 55.9%, with 29 political parties running for the parliament seats. According to the Central Elections Commission, only 5 parties passed the required 5% margin. Now, after forming the parliament body, Kyrgyzstan will become a parliamentary state. However, Alexander Knyazev believes it is unlikely that other CIS countries will follow the example of Kyrgyzstan. Most of the countries of the former Soviet Union are not ready to accept the parliamentary system as they evolved differently. Kyrgyz society chose this way, while Kazakhstan could end up here, although differently. Someday even Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan will become parliamentary states through their own unique ways.
International organizations operating in the Eurasia are combining their efforts. The CSTO, SCO, EAC and the CIS conducted the first ever joint working meeting in Moscow and agreed to coordinate their actions, finally recognizing that each of them is working on the same problem. The CSTO Secretary General Nikolai Bardyuzha said that the idea to join the efforts of the four organizations was initially announced back at the OSCE ministerial meeting in Almaty.
A joint statement was signed in Moscow by the heads of the international organizations. From now on, the CSTO, SCO, EAC and the CIS will jointly contract major challenges including drug trafficking, illegal migration and terrorism. The member states will also exchange information and engage in joint operations and exercises. Experts believe that the new coalition could soon speak in support of the Treaty on European Security, promoted by Dmitry Medvedev. The plan of joint actions is yet to be approved, although it was decided to set up a work group that will include representatives from all four organizations. We have agreed that together we will take steps towards crisis response. There is a need to develop joint projects, for example in the Central Asian region, to deal with the situation with the state border security in Kyrgyzstan and several other matters.
The oil workers in the town of Zhanaozen in western Kazakhstan held a warning strike on Tuesday with about 500 employees demanding to restore the old bonuses system and as well as the dropped social benefits.
We had a supplemental agreement prior to the arbitration with the Article 6 stating that the drillers will get a bonus of 65%. There is no bonus now and they are paid $180, so the bonus is about $100. The conflict is between the pro-government and independent trade unions. According to supporters of the latter, they are now pressured by the authorities. The workers are told that their participation in the acts of civil disobedience will lead to financial repercussions. This month, oil workers were left without bonuses, which usually comprise 2/3 of their salary. Many workers of exploration and production Kazmunaygas in the Mangistau region now plan joining the new labor union Aktau. In any case, the employees intend to return their bonus payments and social allowances through the court. As a geologist, I too was eligible for several bonuses, but they were later dropped. I believe this issue should not be resolved through strikes, but instead in a legal way. The government should do something about it.
University and college students of Ust-Kamenogorsk complain about the youth organization Jasil El, which failed to pay them for their services. Apparently, the delay in payment extended for already 3 months, while the organization blames banks and students themselves for the situation.
Public Union Jasil El owes Ust-Kamenogorsk students at least $8,000. More than 300 people worked for the union throughout this past summer, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. Around 80 students were never paid for their services. We don't have any contracts with Zerselel, as we were told that a collective agreement was signed, but when we went to the Labor Department, officials explained that there is no such thing as a collective agreement. Zerselel Public Association was established upon the initiative of President Nazarbayev with a view to use student force in creating a clean and environmentally sound future of the country. As a rule, all students are recruited for a fee. The leadership of the Ust-Kamenogorsk branch admits that there is a delay of payments. Officials blame banks and students themselves as they didn't open personal accounts on time. We have already done all the necessary paperwork. We now wait for the accrediting of the wages for the national headquarters. The money is coming, says the headquarters head of the Zerselel, while the students threaten to sue the union since they have been waiting for more than 2 months. It is not likely that they will deal with Zerselel next summer.
The growth of bread prices is the direct result of sluggishness of the local governments. The statement was made on Tuesday at the cabinet meeting. Ministers cannot come up with any other explanation of the current situation, as Kazakhstan appears to be fully provided with grain reserves to meet the needs of the domestic market.
Back in early September, the Agriculture Ministry assured that the loaf of bread will cost no more than 40 cents. However, a couple of weeks later, the bread prices grew in eastern Kazakhstan, and the trend later followed in October in Kostanay and Petropavlovsk, as well as in the southern region of Zhambyl. The steep rise in prices for bread and other food products resulted in inflation, which now makes 6.7%. The Agriculture Minister Akılbek Urishbayev says that despite of the 6-month ban on the export of wheat, regional administrators are actually sabotaging their own commitments by not entering into supply contracts with grain producers. Unfortunately, we're falling behind the deadlines. By October, we had to sign supply agreements for 228,000 tons of grain, but as of now, we have only 118,000 tons.
Russian experts from Citibank also noticed inflation tendencies in Kazakhstan. Despite this, their forecasts for the development of the domestic economy are rather positive. During Tuesday's press conference, analysts confirmed the estimates of the National Bank for the Kazakhstan's GDP growth to reach at least 6% by the end of the year.
Experts also noted that the overall economy shows positive growth rates, which is an important indicator for foreign investors. According to Russian analysts, the tenge corridor will remain at the same level and reach 142–143 tenge per US dollar. But the level of oil prices next year will grow from $90 to $95 per barrel. Russian experts also noted that the currently cautious attitude towards Kazakh banks might be changed by the upcoming release of international ratings, which were not updated by Kazakh financial system for quite some time. The main reason why the ratings were not updated for a long time is the issue of vulnerability of the financial sector. The economy is growing at good rates and the potential is obvious, which is good. However, until the financial sector will not be able to support the economic growth, we cannot be sure that this potential will be reached.
Kazakhstan engineering interest holders intend to initiate a new lawsuit against the Kazakhstan Bank. It appears their contract was drafted with violations, said on Tuesday the group's lawyer Gulnara Patayeva.
According to Patayeva, the document mentions $400,000 to be used as a bank guarantee. The lawyer proposed to use this amount to repay the loan debts. Bankers, however, explained that the money is the total guarantee for all borrowers and not individuals, as was believed by the interest holders. At the same time, the bank cannot declassify any credit records. The court decided to suspend loan payments until October 25th. We know from our principals that substantial assets are still on the deposit, but the bank uses the money to its own advantage, not giving it to the developers or mortgage holders.